everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're back for another indie horror spotlight. Today I have with us, he's a screenwriter, and he has a screenplay out right now that is killing it on the festival circuit, and it's called Rockabilly. I have with us Bobby Bam. Bobby, welcome to the Horror Room.
Thank you very much for the time, man. I've been looking forward to this.
It's a pleasure, man. Listen, I love the Funko Pop collection as well as the
Thank
Army of
you.
Darkness, which is the best Evil Dead movie in my opinion.
It's one of my favorites. Bruce Campbell. I really dig Bruce Campbell, man, and Sam Raimi's work. So, one
Yes,
of my favorites.
yes, the ultimate final guy. So, Bobby, tell us a little bit about Rockabilly.
So, Rockabilly I guess I would describe it as a paranormal slasher. Basically, the log line is a greaser loner kid in 1968 falls in love with a girl, and unfortunately, that girl uh, is also admired by the resident rich kid entitlement who believes she belongs to him, which results in ultimately him and his gang finding Billy, our main character, in the woods and basically beat and murder Billy. Fast forward 21 years, and his lady love at the time, Roxy, grows up, and the only thing she has left of him is his leather jacket. And using a Santeria chant that she learned as a kid and praying over it with black magic, Billy's spirit is connected to that jacket. And that jacket ends up on a college nerd in 1989. And Billy basically possesses that college nerd. And at a Halloween, what we call thriller bash, uh, that is thrown by the adult versions of the gang that killed Billy. Billy uses this college nerd and basically wreaks revenge, bloody revenge on the gang. And think of it as The Crow meets Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh,
So,
Bobby, I love a good revenge horror. I feel like there's not enough of them out anymore. Like we should get a lot of them in the past, with
yeah,
Pumpkinhead and even like you just said, A Nightmare on Elm Street, a great
yeah,
revenge movie. Now, you're a screenwriter.
yes.
H- How long did it take you to get this screenplay together?
You know what? I'm actually been doing it for a little while. So whenever I get an idea in my head, um, it can flow pretty quickly, and I can get a feature length if I've got all the. I can get a first draft of a feature probably written within 30 days, 60 at the most, to get a first draft. And then it's a matter of touch up and everything before I put it out on the circuit, trying to gather some acclaim or put out query letters, trying to get some representation and everything and put it out there on the market. But it varies, but usually I'm pretty good about putting these ideas together. So
So, as a screenwriter, have you ever had a filmmaker come to you, like, or someone come up to you and be like, "Listen, Bobby, I have this idea, but I don't know anything about screenwriting, screenplay writing, or anything.
right.
Can you help me?"
I haven't had a lot of that. I have had a couple of people come to me with ideas whenever they've read my stuff. Usually, actually, I got most of my reputation and acclaim as far as, especially in the horror genre, in my writing. And then I also do my own movies. So people have seen my stuff on YouTube and things like that. And some people have come to me with ideas and wanting me to develop them and whatnot like that. But I have not actually had anybody come to me and go, "Hey, Bobby, I'll pay you to write me a screenplay right now. You know, this is my idea and everything. But I guess that's the ultimate goal, is for that to happen. But I'm one of those. I remember whenever I was in school and taking my first screenwriting class, I remember being told that they're going to be like your baby whenever you've written them, and it's going to be really hard to sell your baby. So I've only recently started putting stuff out on the market, and that's probably why I don't have a lot of filmmakers or anything trying to ask me for help just yet.
Now I can imagine. Listen, the majority
Yeah.
of your screenplays are on the indie horror level.
Yes.
Now, now when it comes to indie horror, budget is so important.
Yes.
Do you take that in mind when you're writing your screenplay?
If it's something that I'm definitely planning on doing myself, yes, I have no choice but to think about what's available for me to be able to get these movies done. Um, with Rockabilly and a Cursed Territory, which is a werewolf piece that I've written, I basically let the beast loose, and I didn't think about budget whenever I was writing it. I was just like, I'm going to go for it, and I wrote a lot of crazy scenarios, and it's been described by some of the people that have given me feedback as viscerally violent, which I take as a point of pride. Uh, so, but at the same time, I've had coverage by the Austin Film Festival, one of the top film festivals, and Austin's The Reader gave coverage on Rockabilly, and this is another point of pride of mine. They actually compared me to Wes Craven with my
Oh, nice.
writing, which is something I'll wear on my chest forever. Anyway, but so whenever it comes to budget and writing, if I'm looking to put it out there to sell, depending on where I'm trying to push it for and the market that I'm trying to go for, um, I don't think anything that I really write will require anything more than about a 10-15 million dollar budget, which probably to you and me sounds like a lot of money,
It does
but
sound a
as
lot.
far as the movie world goes, that's a very low budget. Um, but by no means do I write anything that would require anything like a $300 million budget like these studios are forking out these days.
So this is your personal opinion. I have a question.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like, especially in the horror genre, why do you
Hmm.
feel like big production companies, why are not looking in the indie realm? Why are they using the same old writers, filmmakers over and over again? And I mean, those experienced writers, or to say famous ones, they have a high price tag to them. And when it comes to filmmaking, whether it be big budget or low budget, the budget is important.
Yes. My opinion of it is that we'll just call it Hollywood has always had a very small circle, and whenever they, once upon a time, writer and there still are contract writers, contract players that are just sitting there. They're just the go-to people, and they just crank them out. But nowadays, I feel like studios are spending so much money and it's such a high risk that they only focus on existing IP or things or remakes that they like. We keep seeing Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street. These are franchises that they're going to continue trying to remake because they already made the money off of it. They don't really have to pay anybody to redo it, kind of thing. And the amount that they are paying is very minimal for that. Um, and now with studios really looking at AI, that's a whole nother topic. Because I don't know if you've played it all with Chat GPT or anything like that, but
Mhm.
you can give ChatGPT the craziest of ideas.
Hmm.
And I I threw out one just to see what it would do. And I said, you know what there's never been a horror movie about? Squirrels. The closest we have to squirrels in a horror movie was Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, when the geese were replaced by the mob of squirrels.
Hmm.
So I put in the ChatGPT. I looked up in Google. I was like, "What is a group of squirrels called?" And it's called a scurry. And I was like, "Well,
Didn't know that.
that's the name of a horror movie right there, Scurry."
Hmm.
Right? So I was like, "Okay, write a movie treatment for a feature length movie treatment for a horror movie called Scurry about squirrels, a scurry of squirrels." Within seconds, ChatGPT spit out this whole 3 act structure of a small town getting invaded, reminiscent of them and all the classic B movies from the 50s of arachnophobia with spiders attacking the entire town kind of thing. But they did but ChatGPT wrote it out for squirrels. And I was just like, well, hell. It's kind of
Scary.
scary when you think about it, but when it comes to budgets and everything, studios are looking at that now, and that's what's scaring a lot of the writers out there in the world is that AI can do the basics. I'll put it that way. It's still missing certain touches, and if you try to get it to make any sort of corrections or notes, it kind of flows on its own and it gets confused really easily. And then before you know it, it's mutant squirrels coming from Mars, kind of thing by the time you go to the third. So, um, that was probably a long way, and I'm not even sure if I answered your question, but ultimately, my opinion of the studio system, especially these days, is they're spending way too much money on stuff that's a lot of it's not good. And I find it more entertaining and enjoyable to watch $100,000 movie with cheesy practical effects as opposed to $100 million movie where they just go, we'll CGI it and it's good enough. Not
I
to
agree.
bring up Justice League or anything, but
Yeah. I agree because like the Conjuring, the new Conjuring movie, which I
right.
have no interest in fucking seeing, no interest at all.
Yes.
I saw the last one in theaters. I was like, okay, this is becoming like
Redundant.
it's redundant, but also like cash grab. This is
Yeah.
becoming in the cash grab realm.
Right.
And because at a certain point when you start sticking with the IPs and constantly pumping them out, you start the quality starts lowering and it's all about the money at that point. And you know that people are going to run, especially the casual horror fans, which are the majority of horror fans, unfortunately.
Yes.
They are the ones who are going to run to see the I Know What You Did Last Summer's, the Screams, the Michael Myers. This what they're going
Hmm.
to run this at. And
Right.
they, but the casual horror fans are the ones who pay for these movies to get made, unfortunately. And but I was shocked that that movie made $88 million in its first weekend. And I'm like, holy shit, like there's still an audience for this. And I know this is supposed to be the last right, but like once you see something like that in a big budget, I mean in these big production company, this movie, I think it broke the record for like a rated R movie. At that point, you're just going to keep this. There's going to be more Conjuring movies, like they
Oh,
because
yeah.
you can't stop when you're making that kind of money.
Well, the studio's definitely not going to stop. They're going to ride the horse till it basically keels over and dies. I mean, in the Conjuring's case, I mean, think about the spin-offs they already have for it. They have
Hmm.
Annabelle, they have the Nun, uh, you know, so they don't necessarily have to do another Conjuring movie. They could just do another spin-off of all those little tidbits and whatnot that is in the Warren's basement.
Yeah,
And then You have the Insidious movies, which are basically the same thing. I think the male lead and is the same in both of them, isn't it?
Yep,
Insidious and
and
Conjuring.
yep, and they're coming out
Right?
with a part six of that one. Is
Yeah,
in production.
right. And I mean, if you think about it, like whenever studios get a hold of something or they see something that works, they really don't care about the story and the characters. They're all about, like you said, it's all about how we're going to make money off of this. So they go into the marketing of it and they make you feel like you have to go see the movie, especially if you were a fan of the first one. They did that with like Paranormal Activity. They were like, the first one was done for like what $25,000,
Yeah,
and then Paramount got a hold to it and was realizing, oh, we can make these movies for less than $1 million, and the $25,000 one made over $10 million. That's hand over fist money right there. And
yeah,
so yeah, the studio system, whenever it comes down to it, man, they've always done this. They're always going to do it. Unfortunately, it makes us as the audience members look bad, and we really have to seek out any sort of independent or original thing, which I guess that's whenever streaming comes into play because you have outlets like Shutter and was it Screenbox and all these others for the horror genre, and there's a lot of foreign work that's coming to that and everything, but you're not going to be able to find it in the theaters unless someone's making some sort of special effort like an Alamo Draft House or something like that to screen these movies. Um, So it makes it difficult for guys like me to try to really make it. That's why we all have day jobs, you
yeah,
know. So uh but we keep chugging along, man. It's like a calling. That's how I've always described it. It's like I took my first screenwriting class, found out I had a talent for it, got bit in the ass, but at the same time they put a baby in my arms. So, it was like
yeah.
It was like kind of had to do it whenever I could, but I got bills to pay and a family to raise. So, you know,
Because
uh,
I get asked all the time, like when people they're
yeah,
like, why do you focus on indie horror so much? Like you could focus,
mhm,
with your interview skills and just your
yeah,
voice and everything, you could just do regular stream horror and probably have 100,000 subscribers by now. But you focus on indie horror, and I like the underdog story. I like being the underdog. I want to be that indie horror channel that has, one day 1 million subscribers and people the casual horror fans can now, start realizing like indie horror. Listen, I was born in the '80s and Full
yeah,
Moon, Trauma, all of that. The video stores.
mhm,
I love those low budget indie horror movies. Always have, and I just and it's some good shit being made right now, and
yeah,
it's getting missed. It's
yeah,
totally getting missed.
totally. Um, I also obviously am a kid of the '80s. Grew up in the '80s and '90s. Grew up on way too much '80s movies. Um, but if you really, I mean, and I know you've done this research as well, but there's a great documentary In the Search of Darkness. I think they've got like a part 3 out now. It's a
Yes.
documentary
Hmm.
on horror and everything like that. Um, One of the main things that I pulled from that was like there was the '70s horror, right? Very kind of political voice, very mundane and kind of drawn out and dark and just kind of a little lower tone. And then the '80s kicked in, and I said that's whenever they found cocaine, and then
Yeah.
everything was, you know, popping in your
Boom.
face,
Yes.
right, on your head. You know, we got all of a sudden we got Freddy Krueger just ripping stuff up and playing Nintendo and doing all sorts of crazy shit. And you know, I mean. there was just some crazy stuff out there, and
Yeah.
the ones that were making it, you know, John Carpenter and Lloyd Kaufman and Roger Corman, you know, they were all just doing it run and gun style, man. They're doing it the way that people like guys like me and women like me are out there doing it, man. They're just finding a way. They're taking what they have available and making magic happen, you know. Uh, I would, you know, they go out there, they're stealing scenes, they're, you know, using whatever props they can. You know, James Cameron, whenever he was working with Roger Corman, he started out on that space one, and he was doing the special effects for that, and went to McDonald's whenever McDonald's had styrofoam boxes and got like 1,000 of them and pasted them to the wall and spray painted them, and that was the,
Yeah.
you know, the space tunnel. It's like things like that just intrigue me. You know, Chopping Mall, whenever it was bought by
Oh, yes.
Lloyd Kaufman and retitled Chopping Mall, nothing was chopped in that movie. Everything was being cut up by lasers from robots, but
I
it was a
agree.
better title, you know.
I agree.
but, but still fun to watch, you know.
Yes, I
The
agree.
Evil Dead movies, what Sam
Mhm.
Raimi did. You know, we're talking about Army of Darkness and what him and their crew did,
Yeah.
and still do to this day. You know,
It's
putting the
quality
camera
stuff,
at
man.
the end of a 2x4 and running it through the woods. You know,
I agree. All right, so Bobby, so I have a coworker of mine, and she watched my show, and she was like, hey, I have a horror screenplay that I read. What is the next step? And there's probably a lot of people who watch, my channel. So, what would you suggest to someone who wrote a horror screenplay for the first time, and they have no idea what's the next step?
I would say one first. If you have someone that you trust that can give you honest feedback, it's usually not family and friends because they are going to boost you and give you pretty lies as opposed to the ugly truth sometimes. Try to find some honest feedback without having to pay for it first. And then I would recommend stage 32 .com. I'm sure you've heard of that. It is a social media platform for filmmakers and creatives. Um, they offer script services as far as coverage. Um, that'll run you somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to $60 probably to get you some coverage from a professional reader. And what that'll do is ultimately give you any sort of notes, what works, what doesn't, uh, according to a reader. Because ultimately, as a screenwriter, if you're solely a screenwriter and you're looking to sell your wares, you need to get them in the hands of people with money. But before you can get them in the hands of people with money, you got to get through the assistants and the readers. The top Writers Film Festival is Austin Film Festival. It happens every October. Um, you can check on that, but that is what I keep getting told and keep reading. Austin Film Festival comes up in the top ranks for screenwriters. They also offer a coverage program. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about $130, but they'll give you a full breakdown of your screenplay as far as they'll do a full reading of you, and you'll get at least 3 to 10 pages of notes from the reader. What works, what doesn't. I did that with Rockabilly. It took a couple years for me to finally do it, uh, basically out of fear more than anything else. Um, and that's whenever I'm being compared to Wes Craven in the writing. And currently, Rockabilly is in competition at Austin Film Festival. Fingers crossed it goes further. Because you want, as far as the festivals go, getting accolades from a large festival like that, whether it be Slam Dance, Austin Film Festival, South by Southwest, the bigger names as far as film festivals go, those are the accolades that you really want to capture because that's what representation pays attention to, and that's what producers look for whenever they're looking for spec scripts. And if you don't know what a spec script is, I'm sure you do, but for listeners
For
that don't,
everyone. Hmm.
yeah, spec script is basically something that you've written for free and you're trying to sell. Ultimately, that's what it is. You're not being paid to write it, so it's considered spec. Um, Once upon a time, uh, during the heyday of Shane Black and whatnot, uh, spec scripts would be selling for $1 million, and that was in the late '80s, early '90s. That is not the case anymore. Spec scripts are just starting to come back, especially since the last couple of Oscars. The big winners have been independent films, low budget, more focused on the writing, and studios are starting to take note on that again. So that is my best advice. It's getting feedback, fine tuning, listening to the feedback. You don't always have to agree with everything that is said, but at the same time, it's going to sharpen your skills and sharpen your work. So that is my best recommendation for that. Long winded, but that is my best recommendation.
So Maggie, if you're watching, or any other screenwriters,
Yeah.
that's the best way to go. All right, Bobby, listen, where
Yeah.
can everyone find you and your work?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm going to send that to you in the chat. It's at B-side underscore studios. That is the primary social media that I post on, if not YouTube. My YouTube channel, I will put the link in the chat as well for you to put there. But B-side 98. B-side Grindhouse. Apologies. 98 is something else. Uh, and that is my where you can see like my YouTube work. You get an idea of my grindhouse style of absurdism and everything like that. I'm also on Facebook. You can just find me by my name, Bobby Bayham. I'm there. I think I've got a Incredible Hulk as my profile picture. So and and you can see me ranting and raving or posting up stuff about that. So that is where you can find me.
Love it, bro. Listen, everybody, please go. By the way, go down in the description and you can go ahead and click subscribe, follow, comment on Bobby's YouTube channel, as well as
Yes,
follow him on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're at the Austin Film Festival,
yes.
are you going to be there or Vincent?
I won't actually. I'm waiting to see what happens with Rockabilly. To be honest with you,
Okay.
the festival always collides with my wedding anniversary, so I
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to convince my wife that I'm being represented. So before I will be there. So I'm not going to say I'm not going to be there, but if you happen to be there and Rockabilly is in the running, please give it a shout out. And chances are you'll find me somewhere around there.
Love it. Well, Bobby, pleasure having you on, man. I'm looking forward to somebody picking up Rockabilly, and definitely I would love to see this because I love a good revenge horror film, and this sounds like one.
Rockabilly is it's definitely a fun one, man. I put a lot of work into that one, and everybody that reads it seems to enjoy it. And according to feedback, it's right along the lines of Wes Craven stuff. So it fits the Crow meets Nightmare on Elm Street.
Love it, man. Listen, everybody, thank you for coming to another edition of this horror realm. By the way, hit that like and subscribe button. I don't ask that enough. Hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's my man, Bobby Bam.
Thank you
Rockabilly.
very, very
Look out
much.
for it. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Bobby.
Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Thank you.